So, for today's topic, we have an absolute tragedy and what many are calling a freak accident that took place in a small cruise town over in Alaska that unfortunately caused three people to be injured and one cruise ship passenger to unfortunately lose their life. So, we are going to go over the details that are available so far because even though this situation took place just a couple days ago, it is still currently under investigation by the law and authorities over in that particular area. By the way, real quick, I do apologize for being MIA for the past couple weeks. Some of you do know that I've been on vacation and spending time with family and all that jazz. However, we are back to it, so I am doing a little bit of catching up. However, there is a lot of news to cover this week, and I'm sure a lot more will unfold. So let's go ahead and get to it. So this unfortunate incident took place during the early morning hours of September 4th in a small town popular for cruising known as Ketchikan, Alaska. Now, Ketchikan, Alaska typically has an average population of roughly 8,000 people, and I say roughly because it does, like many cruise towns, fluctuate in population. Usually it's going to be most populated around early to late April up until around October when the cruise ships are there before winter starts. On September 4th, there were 5 cruise ships that were docked in the small town of Ketchikan. Now, that is a lot for any cruise port. Now, a small town like Ketchikan, Alaska, where the population is 8,000, you're talking about roughly between all of those ships, and they're not small ships by any means, roughly 16,000 additional passengers, which essentially triples the amount of people that are in this town that day. Around roughly 8:40 a.m. local time, this is when the freak accident would occur as a parked car somehow started to roll itself down, I believe what is now either a slant or a hill, and during this roll down, it would unfortunately hit 3 people, including a 57-year-old woman from Auburn, Indiana. The rolling car would then crash into a fence and then into a creek, taking the 57-year-old woman with it. Nearby was the husband that saw the incident occur. He would then jump into the creek to try to save his wife, along with some other bystanders. You would then have the local firefighters involved in order to try to get this woman out of the water. Upon eventually rescuing the woman, both her and another pedestrian that was hit by the rolling vehicle would be taken to the hospital with serious injuries, and unfortunately the 57-year-old woman would succumb to her injuries. You also had the husband and another pedestrian that was hit by the car that was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. Now, before we continue, of course, my sincere condolences go out to the friends, family, loved ones of this 57-year-old woman from Indiana that has passed away. Her name has not been identified, and as I said at the beginning of the video, there is an investigation going on to see what happened because this is indeed a freak accident. As far as the cruise ship this 57-year-old woman was sailing on, we have no idea. All I know at this point in time is that there were 5 ships in port that day. There was one Princess cruise ship, or sorry, two rather, two Holland America cruise ships, and you had one NCL cruise ship in port that day. This event is, of course, extremely unfortunate. You do have the Coast Guard involved participating in the investigation to try to see and piece together what exactly happened here. I personally have been to Ketchikan quite a few times, and I will be honest with you guys, there's not a ton to do over there. A lot of shops. There's the Lumberjack Show, which is really cool. Go check it out if you go over that particular area, by the way. And there's a lot of excursions to do in that area. But hearing something like this, I would imagine, especially for the locals over there, it's probably rocking that town. And I can't even imagine how the family's feeling. Just imagine going on vacation and seeing something like this happen. My sincere condolences do go out to them. And I would just say, when you guys are going on a cruise or any vacation for that matter, make sure you are aware as much as you can be. Obviously, there is no telling whether being alerted to the rolling car could have potentially saved this woman's life, but there are many instances where if people had been looking around and checking their surroundings and seeing what was going on, something that could have turned into a tragedy could have been avoided altogether. So just food for thought. Keep that in mind, guys. But this is what we have for today's video. Of course, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit that like button on your way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as usual, I appreciate you guys. I'll see you later. Take it easy.